Hey, what's going on, guys? This Saturday is UFC Fight Night Singapore Max Holloway versus the Korean Zombie Seung Jung, and this is going to be my full card predictions. I'm going to go through every single fight on the card and give you a quick breakdown and prediction. Starting off with the first fight of the night, Choi versus Jarno, Errens. This is a striker versus grappler matchup. Choi wants to keep the fight standing. Jarno, Errens wants to use his judo, wants to get a takedown, wants to get some control time, wants to push you up against the fence and use the clinch. And honestly, Choi's coming in on a 3-fight losing streak. It's really tough for me to pick a guy coming in on a 3-fight losing streak. You have Errens, who made his UFC debut in his last fight against William Gomez, lost the fight, but it was a competitive fight. Both guys relatively young, 30 years old for Choi and 28 years old for Jarno, Errens. Both guys similar height and reach, slight height and reach advantage for Choi. But honestly, Choi, I just think he'll be able to keep the fight standing long enough to land a big shot. I think he's way faster. I think he has way better striking, and I think he has significant power. I think he'll be able to fend off the takedowns, especially early. I'm going Choi second round TKO. It's very hard for me to pick him coming off 3 straight losses, but they're not the worst losses in the world. He lost to Michael Trizano, got KO'd, super competitive in that fight. You had the double knockdown in that fight. Then you look at the 2 losses before that, Joshua Coulibaly and Alex Caceres. Not horrible losses to have. And I think he goes out there. I think he's able to keep it standing. I think he lands the left hook. I think he's got very good speed with his hands. I think he's got very good speed with his kicks. I think he'll find a left hook in the second round. I think he'll drop Jarno, Errens and finish him via TKO ground and pound. Moving up on the card, Liang versus JJ Aldrich. What an absolute barn burner this fight is. Can't wait for this fight. I'm kidding. Both women coming in on 2-fight losing streaks. You have Liang, hasn't won a fight in the UFC. Her last fight, she got brutally finished by Silvana Gomez Juarez. Fight before that, got KO'd by Ariane Carnelossi. You have JJ Aldridge, last fight, got outclassed by Ariane Lipski. Fight before that, got submitted by Erin Blanchfield. Both of them are relatively young. Liang is 27 years old. This is a fight where both girls are similar size, reach, and height. I think that JJ Aldridge is more well-rounded. Liang just likes to kind of be super reckless, rush in, to close the distance, look for takedowns. And she kind of gasses out and she kind of leaves her chin exposed. And she also gasses out because of the way she fights. And because of that, I'm actually going to go JJ Aldridge's 3rd round TKO. I think Liang will be competitive early, but she's going to be getting countered. She's not going to be able to get a whole lot of takedowns. If she does get a takedown, I think JJ Aldridge will be able to work her way back to her feet. And I think by the time the 3rd round comes around, I think Liang is going to be completely exhausted. I can see JJ Aldridge getting a takedown herself and finish her via ground and pound in the 3rd round. Moving up on the card, we have Yusaku Kinoshita versus Billy Goff. Both guys coming off of Dana White's Contender Series. Billy Goff, this is him making his UFC debut. Kinoshita lost his UFC debut against Adam Fugit. Looked good early, but then gassed out literally in the 1st round and ends up getting full mounted and finished. Kinoshita is a very good striker, but he lacks grappling ability, and also he lacks a gas tank, where Billy Goff, he gets hit on the feet. He has decent grappling. He's durable. He almost got finished in his Dana White Contender Series fight. I think he got dropped in that fight. And, I think in this fight, can he weather the early storm? If he can weather the early storm, I think he gets a finish. So I'm going Billy Goff, 2nd round TKO. I think he weathers the early storm. I think he eats some shots early. I think maybe even loses the 1st round, gets his leg kicked battered, eats some big shots on the feet. He clinches up, looks for some takedowns. Maybe Kinoshita stuffs some of the takedowns early. Towards the end of the 1st round, I think it's going to start going Billy Goff's way. And I think in the 2nd round, Kinoshita, unless he conserved his energy in the 1st, I think he's going to be starting to get tired. He's going to get taken down. He's going to get beaten up. And I think he's going to get TKO'd in the 2nd round. Moving up on the card, we have Kenan versus Rolando Bedoya. Kenan coming in on a 2-fight losing streak. Lost to Ian Gary in his last fight. Almost finished Ian Gary. Dropped him badly. But then eventually gets finished by Ian Gary. Before that, got finished by Max Griffin. 33 years old, been in the UFC forever. I didn't even realize. I think he's been in the UFC since 2017, which is absolutely insane to me. He's 33 years old. Rolando Bedoya made his UFC debut in his last fight. He's only 26 years old. You have a slight height advantage for Kenan, but you have a significant reach advantage. You have a 4-inch reach advantage for Rolando Bedoya. I think Kenan Seung is the better striker, and he has good power, and I think he's a little bit more technical. But I think Bedoya just has the better gas tank. He's good in the clinch. He's kind of good at dirty boxing, and he has good enough striking. And it's not like Kenan Seung is throwing these super crazy combinations and landing at will. So I'm going to go Rolando Bedoya via decision. I think it's going to be a kind of close fight, especially early. I don't see either guy really getting finished. And I think Kenan Seung is just going to get a little bit outclassed in some of the clinch exchanges where Bedoya is landing some knees to the body. And I just think Bedoya's cardio and his durability is what's going to win him this fight. I'm going to say a 29-28 decision for Rolando Bedoya. I think he looked good in his last fight. He fought Chaos Williams. It was a split decision. You could make the argument that it should have went to Bedoya. I think a lot of people were making that argument. And Chaos Williams is a very good striker, very powerful striker. And I think he's more powerful than Kenan Seung. So I don't think Kenan Seung's going to go in there and get him out of there. And also I think Seung's a little bit more technical, but I just think Bedoya is going to make it dirty, make it gritty, get inside, use his reach advantage. And I also just think that Bedoya is just younger, faster. I think he has more determination to will to win at 33 years old, starting to deteriorate in the skills, starting to deteriorate in motivation. I'm going Rolando Bedoya via decision. Moving up on the card, Chidi Njokuani versus Mikel Oleksiejczuk. Mikel Oleksiejczuk coming off the loss of Caio Borralho, where he got submitted via rear naked choke, but he looked good early in that fight, was landing some decent combinations. Chidi Njokuani on a 2-fight losing streak, lost to Albert Duraev in a close fight. The fight before that, lost to Gregory Rodriguez, got finished, landed that nasty knee in that fight that cut Gregory Rodriguez right across the, basically between the eyebrows, had him bleeding all over the place, but then he got finished. He slowed down, he got finished. Both of these guys are primarily strikers. Chidi Njokuani kind of likes to fight from range, throw kicks to the body, throw good leg kicks. When he does clinch up, he has good knees to the body, and also he has great knees from range too if you're going to shoot in on a takedown. I don't think either one of these guys is going to grapple. Both guys have grappling deficiencies. Both guys, the path to victory for other opponents have been to take them down and hold them down. I don't think either one of these guys is going to grapple in this fight. And honestly, I think this is a really close to a pick'em fight. This is a hard fight to pick. Both guys have decent power. But honestly, you look at Chidi Njokuani, he's 34 years old on a 2-fight losing streak. He had a close fight with Albert Duraev, but Albert Duraev is primarily a grappler, out-grappled him. He had a good third round in that fight, so had a decent gas tank in that fight. But I think Mikel Oleksiejczuk, a little bit more power, good shots to the body, good aggression, and he's not going to have to worry about getting taken down. So not having to worry about getting taken down is a massive factor in this fight. It also is a factor for Chidi Njokuani too, because that's kind of his Achilles heel, is getting out-grappled. But I think it's going to be a close fight early. I think both guys are going to be landing early, and it's just going to be about who gets finished first. I'm going to go Mikel Oleksiejczuk, second round TKO. I think he hurts him badly on the feet. I think he drops him, follows him to the ground and pound TKO. I just see Njokuani as an older guy. He has a height and massive reach advantage, but Mikel Oleksiejczuk just likes to close the distance, rip to the body, throws absolutely nasty power on every shot, and he's not going to have to worry about the takedown. I think Chidi Njokuani, getting up there in age, slowing down a bit, doesn't throw a whole lot of crazy combinations, and I think Oleksiejczuk will be able to close that distance, land those shots, drop him, and finish him in the second round. I'm going Oleksiejczuk, second round TKO. Moving up on the card, Toshiomi Kazama versus Garrett Armfield. This actually is a decent fight. I mean, it's not the worst fight ever in the world. It's not the most exciting fight in the world ever, but it's a decent fight. Kazama is a very aggressive fighter. I mean, he's just so aggressive, but he wants to grapple. His last fight was the road to the UFC, I think it's called, against Rinya Nakamura, who's also fighting on this card. Just pressured forward, got absolutely clipped and destroyed. The fight before that, he fought on the road to the UFC, got a win there via unanimous decision. He's primarily a grappler. He wants to grapple. He has okay striking, but he really is just super aggressive to look for the takedown, look to take you down, look to grind you out, look to use his jiu-jitsu. He has really good BJJ. You have Garrett Armfield in his last fight, made his UFC debut against David Onama. Had a decent performance, won some grappling exchanges, won some striking exchanges, eventually gets finished via arm triangle, so that's not bad. Both guys are 26 years old, similar height and reach for both guys. And honestly, Kazama, I just think he has to get the takedown if he wants to win this fight, and he's just so sloppy on the feet. He's just waiting to be countered. And I think Garrett Armfield has superior striking. I think he has decent enough grappling. I don't think Kazama has the grappling of a David Onama where he can go out there and really bully Garrett Armfield, at least later in the fight. So I'm going to go Garrett Armfield via decision. I think he's going to land better shots on the feet. I think he'll be able to stuff the takedowns. And I think Kazama is just going to walk into some big shots. I could see him getting finished as well, but I think Garrett Armfield gets it done in this fight via decision. I'm going to say 29-28 decision. I think it's going to be a kind of a close fight. Maybe Kazama gets a takedown in one of the rounds and uses his jiu-jitsu and, is able to squeak out around that way. And if Kazama can get him down with any regularity and get some control time, I could see him finding a submission. 8 out of his 10 wins are via finish. And I think he could win that way, but I don't think he's going to. I think he's going to get outstruck on the feet. I think Garrett Armfield will be able to defend the takedowns. I think he's going to win a decision. Moving up the card, a massive heavyweight fight. We have Waldo Cortes-Acosta versus Łukasz Brzeski. And I'm kidding about being a massive heavyweight fight. Waldo Cortes-Acosta, what is there to say about him? Dude absorbs leg kicks like nobody I've ever seen. Just sits there, plots forward, is very heavy on the lead leg, and just takes leg damage, so much leg damage. Got absolutely brutalized by Marcus Rogerio de Lima in his last fight with leg kicks. Lost the decision there. Before that, reeled off some wins against Chase Sherman, Jarrett Vandera, literally the bottom of the barrel of the UFC heavyweight division, which already isn't that good. You look at Łukasz Brzeski. Got a loss to Carl Williams in his last fight, got out grappled there. Lost to Martin Buday the fight before that. He kind of reminds me of like a Family Dollar version of Alexander Volkov, but he's just not as good. He's 8-3, inexperienced. Both guys are relatively inexperienced. Hasn't fought the best competition either before the UFC. Fought a guy who's 3-1. Fought a guy who's 10-5 on the Dana White's Contender Series. This is a matchup I could kind of see going either way, but I think Cortes-Acosta is just going to be better on the feet. I could see Brzeski landed some big shots early, has some good leg kicks as well, but Cortes-Acosta can absorb that leg damage and not get finished, but Acosta literally has no finishing power. Didn't finish Chase Sherman, didn't finish Jarrett Vandera, got to finish on Dana White's Contender Series, but he's not finishing Chase Sherman or Jarrett Vandera. I don't think he's going to finish Łukasz Brzeski, and Łukasz Brzeski is kind of one of those guys who kind of gasses out a little bit, but gets down to 50% and kind of just stays there. But I think Waldo Cortes-Acosta lands the better shots on the feet, throws more volume, and I think he gets it done via decision. I'm going to say 29-28 decision. Maybe Acosta loses the first round, eats a lot of calf kicks, but I don't see either one of these guys really shooting in on takedowns. Both guys have gotten out-grappled by previous opponents. If I had to give an advantage, I don't even know who I would give the grappling advantage to. Maybe slightly to Cortes-Acosta just because he probably has a little bit better stamina. But I just think Acosta lands the better volume on Brzeski, and I think he gets it done 29-28 decision. But realistically, I could see it being a 30-27 decision for Waldo Cortes-Acosta as well. Moving up on the card, the first fight on the main card, Junior Tafa versus Parker Porter. Parker Porter, the GOAT. He's fighting the other brother because not that long ago, 2 fights ago, literally 5 months ago, he fought Justin Tafa and got brutally KO'd. I believe it was in the first round. But he came back in a fight against Braxton Smith, the worst UFC fighter of all time, finishes him in the first round. He's been around for a while. He's 38 years old. Parker Porter is 38 years old. He's 14-8 overall. Tafa has a 3-inch height advantage. Parker Porter actually has a 3-inch reach advantage, which absolutely shocked me. This really comes down to really 2 possible outcomes. Parker Porter by decision or Justin Tafa by KO, TKO. Junior Tafa, I said Justin Tafa, but it's Junior Tafa. Junior Tafa lost his last fight against Muhammad Usman, got out grappled. I thought there was a case to be made that maybe Junior Tafa won that fight. Fight before that, he fought in Ryzen, not against the best opposition, but not horrible. Guys that are like 6-1, 4-3, 15-12. He has nasty power. He has decent striking, especially if he doesn't have to worry about the takedown. He does have to worry about the takedown against Parker Porter. Parker Porter is going to look to grapple in this fight, but he's not this massively strong heavyweight who has unbelievable grappling. And Junior Tafa was able at some points in time to get up from underneath Muhammad Usman. Now, eventually, he basically got out grappled in the fight, and that's the reason he lost the fight. But he was able to get up from a massive heavyweight like Muhammad Usman. I think if Parker Porter gets him down, he'll be able to get up. I think I'm going to go Junior Tafa first round TKO. I think Parker Porter's hittable. I don't think he's particularly fast. I think he's actually getting a little bit better, and I think he's getting a little bit more athletic. I don't know if he's training more or what, but I think Junior Tafa just has nasty power in his hands. I think he clips him in the first round, and I think he sleeps him in the first round. Parker Porter, the GOAT, takes another loss to another Tafa brother. I'm going Junior Tafa first round KO. Moving up on the card, this fight should honestly be the co-main event. This is probably the best fight on the card, in my opinion. Erin Blanchfield versus Taila Santos. What an amazing matchup this is. And this has legit ramifications to the women's flyweight division. You have Erin Blanchfield, 11-1 on a long winning streak. You have Taila Santos, has not fought since losing to Valentina Shevchenko over a year ago via split decision. A lot of people thought she won that fight, and people elevated her massively off that performance, where she really took the back of Valentina Shevchenko multiple times. Valentina Shevchenko was trying for a lot of head and arm throws and basically giving up her back on the ground, but also Taila Santos was able to get to that back mount quite a bit and able to control her and get some takedowns herself. Some people thought she won that fight. I thought it could have went either way. I thought Valentina Shevchenko, really nothing happened to her on the ground in a lot of the rounds, but I'm not going to rehash that decision. But Taila Santos' stock has shot through the roof since that performance, even a losing performance. And you look at her resume before that, Joanne Woods, she submitted her. Before that, Roxanne Modafferi. Before that, Jillian Robertson. So she really doesn't have any quality wins. She's kind of being elevated off a loss to the champion or the former champion in Valentina Shevchenko. She's 30 years old, so she's kind of in the prime of her career. Erin Blanchfield has looked incredible. She's 24 years old. She's coming off a win over Jessica Andrade, which at the time looked very impressive. I got to say, it's aging like dog shit now. It's really, really not looking good. Jessica Andrade is just showing up for paychecks. She jumped in on short notice, lost the fight, got submitted. The fight before that, Erin Blanchfield absolutely mauled Molly McCann. The fight before that, she submitted JJ Aldrich, which is a decent win. She has a win over Miranda Maverick. But Erin Blanchfield's resume is decent, but that Jessica Andrade win was really the staple of her resume. And looking at it now, Jessica Andrade is she's just showing up for paychecks. I mean, she's just stepping in for paycheck after paycheck. It's basically a rigged fight at this point. But Erin Blanchfield is so incredible on the ground. She has great grappling, and her striking is improving. I saw that in the Jessica Andrade fight. She's super young, and I think she's a future champion potentially. And I'm going to go Erin Blanchfield via decision. I actually think she's going to get it done 30-27 decision. I think she has better grappling than Taila Santos. I think she's going to be able to out-grapple her. I think she'll be able to take her down. I think she'll be able to control her a bit. And I think it's not going to be a dominant grappling performance from Erin Blanchfield. I don't think she's going to be able to get submissions. I don't think she's going to be able to advance position a whole lot. If she finds a submission, that'll be super impressive. But I think even on the feet, Taila Santos is super tentative on the feet. And I don't think... I think it's kind of close on the feet, but I think Erin Blanchfield's improving on the feet. I think her hands are getting better. Her kicks are getting better. And I see Erin Blanchfield winning this fight. I'm going to go 30-27 decision for Erin Blanchfield. Moving up on the card, Rinya Nakamura versus Fernie Garcia. Talk about basically a tune-up fight in a way. I mean, Fernie Garcia lost to Brady Heinz-Stan in his last fight, lost to Journey Newsom in the fight before that. Won on the Dana White's Contender Series against Joshua Weems. Really meaningless. You have 7-0 undefeated Nakamura, who literally has looked incredible. He only has the one fight in the UFC, but unbelievable striking, unbelievable power, and nasty finishing ability. You look at his last 3 fights, 4 out of his last 5 fights he finished, and he's 7-0. He's young. He's 28 years old, has a slight reach advantage, and they are the same height. I think this is a fight where it's just really set up for Nakamura to look super impressive in Singapore. And I think Fernie Garcia is going to get brutally KO'd in the first round. Fernie Garcia, he has power himself, but he's not like the most technical striker. He's not the fastest guy. He can be out-grappled. We've seen him get out-grappled by Brady Heinz-Stan in his last fight. Or Heinz-Stan, I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't remember how to pronounce it, better yet. We've seen him get out-grappled in that fight. We've seen him get out-grappled a little bit, I think, against Journey Newsom as well. I don't think it really matters in this fight. I think Nakamura has decent grappling, but I think on the feet, super athletic, super powerful. I think Fernie Garcia is biting off more than he can chew, and I think he gets brutally KO'd in the first round against Nakamura. Nakamura, super athletic, super fast. Hand speed is unbelievable, and he has nasty KO power. I think he gets it done in the first round over Fernie Garcia. Moving up on the card, the featured fight on the card, Giga Chikadze versus Alex Caceres. Giga Chikadze has not fought in over a year and a half. He last fought Calvin Kattar. He lost the fight, and he's just been MIA ever since. And I think he had a couple fights announced, but then they got canceled. His last win was 2 years ago almost against Edson Barboza, which was a quality win at the time, and I had high hopes for Giga Chikadze. You look at Alex Caceres, he's coming off a win over Daniel Pineda. It doesn't really mean that much. Pineda's super old. Before that, a KO win over Julian Erosa, which I think is pretty solid. Before that, a loss to Sadiq Youssef. Both guys are 35 years old. For me, Giga Chikadze, it's now or never. If he wants to become a contender, if he wants to become a champion, he has to win this fight. This is an absolute must-win for him. And this is an intriguing fight because Alex Caceres is a very well-rounded fighter. He has very good striking, and he has very powerful kicks as well. And I really don't think either guy is going to mix in the grappling in this fight. But I think Alex Caceres might have a slight grappling advantage. I'm not really too sure on that. But ultimately, it comes down to who's the better striker. And this is a 3-round fight. I'm going Giga Chikadze. I don't like the long layoff, but he has excellent kicks. He has excellent kickboxing. He was winning against Calvin Kattar until Calvin Kattar started mixing in the grappling and really pressuring him. And I don't think Alex Caceres has the style where he can just nonstop pressure Giga Chikadze. So I think Giga Chikadze can really let his hands go, can look to counter. He's not going to have to worry about crazy extreme forward pressure from Alex Caceres. I think it's going to be a fun fight. I think it's going to be a close fight. But I think ultimately, I'm going to go Giga Chikadze 30-27, but I think all 3 rounds are going to be relatively competitive. And I think Giga Chikadze just edges him out with his striking, landing the better shots, kicking to the body. I could see Chikadze getting a finish, maybe the Giga kick that he had against Cub Swanson, that he has a super powerful kick to the body. But Caceres is a really good kickboxer himself. So I'm going to go Giga Chikadze in a competitive, but Chikadze wins all 3 rounds, 30-27 decision for Chikadze. Moving up on the card to the co-main event, we have Anthony Smith versus Ryan Spann 2. The fight that nobody was asking for. Who wanted to see this rematch? And I had really a lot of trouble picking this fight. Anthony Smith has a win over him literally 2 years ago. So there's been some time. It's not like it was 6 months ago. Submitted him via rear naked choke. Hurt him multiple times in this fight. Out-grappled him. Eventually finishes him. But since then, got finished by Magomed Ankalaev and lost the decision to Johnny Walker in his last fight. He's 35 years old. You have Ryan Spann coming off a loss against Nikita Krylov. Fight before that, brutally KO'd the dead corpse of Dominic Reyes. Doesn't mean all that much. Before that, submitted Ion Cutelaba, or Iwan Cutelaba, I think is how you pronounce it. This is a matchup where, honestly, everything in my soul was telling me to pick Anthony Smith by submission. Because Anthony Smith's definitely better on the ground. Anthony Smith has unbelievable heart. He has unbelievable durability. And everything in my soul was telling me to pick Anthony Smith. But for some reason, I have to go Ryan Spann. I'm going Ryan Spann first round KO. Anthony Smith looked atrocious against Johnny Walker. And I know he has a grappling advantage, but he's slowing down. He's not the guy he once was. He's 35 years old. He's coming off 2 losses. He looked horrible against Johnny Walker. He looked horribly slow. Ryan Spann is massive. And what I'm banking on in this fight is a regression of Anthony Smith and a slight increase in skill level for Ryan Spann over the last 2 years. So I think where before Anthony Smith was a little bit out ahead of him, I think it's kind of switched where maybe Ryan Spann now is a little out ahead of him. And I think Ryan Spann, unbelievable KO power. And I think in the last fight, his grappling looked particularly bad because he got hurt multiple times by Anthony Smith. So I think Ryan Spann's going to go out there, be a little bit more cautious in the striking, not be as crazy, and I think he's going to find a kill shot. I think Anthony Smith's super durable. It's very rare we see him get finished. He basically got finished due to a kind of a leg injury against Magomed Ankalaev. But I think this is the beginning of the real true end of Anthony Smith in the UFC. I think Ryan Spann, nasty right hand, first round KO over Anthony Smith. Basically ends the UFC career of Anthony Smith. I'm going Ryan Spann first round KO, but I might live to regret that pick. Moving up the card to the main event, Max Holloway versus the Korean Zombie Seung Jung. I'm going to be honest, I hate this main event. It really makes no sense. Seung Jung, the Korean Zombie, got absolutely destroyed by Alexander Volkanovski in his last fight, but that was a year and a half ago, and he was stepping in on short notice. And then the fight before that, he has a win over Dan Ige. Fight before that, lost to Brian Ortega. Got rocked early in that fight. I think it was a spinning back elbow. Seemed to never recover. And his last decent win was against Frankie Edgar when Frankie Edgar was actually good. That was almost 4 years ago. The Koreans, I just think he's no match for Max Holloway. I think Max Holloway, his volume, his boxing, his defensive grappling, which Korean Zombie, I don't think he's not an offensive wrestler. He has good grappling, has a good BJJ. You know, maybe he could get him down. Maybe he's going to evoke that. But I just think Max Holloway, the footwork, the speed, the fact that Max Holloway's only losing to Alexander Volkanovski and, you know, also Dustin Poirier up a weight class, I think Max Holloway is going to box up the Korean Zombie badly. I think this is going to be a brutal beating. I think the Korean Zombie's too tough for his own good. I mean, we've seen it in the Volkanovski fight. He was just getting destroyed, and finally the referee mercifully stepped in that fight. His corner should have stopped it. The doctor should have stopped it. He got absolutely destroyed. A lot of brain damage. I don't know why this fight was being booked other than the fact that, oh, the Korean Zombie's never fighting for a title. Oh, Max Holloway's never fighting for a title as long as Volkanovski's there. So let's not have Holloway kill off another contender like he did Arnold Allen. You look at Max Holloway's fights outside the Volkanovski fight. Beats Arnold Allen in his last fight. Beats Jair Rodriguez in his last fight before that, not excluding the Volkanovski fight. Beats Calvin Kattar. He's way out ahead of a lot of these guys. Max Holloway is the elite of the elite. He is the second best in the division, in my opinion. I think he's going to go out there and absolutely decimate the Korean Zombie on the feet. I think Holloway has to be a little bit careful early because of the power of the Korean Zombie. And I think Chansung Jung, the Korean Zombie, is going to be using some leg kicks and try to limit the mobility of Max Holloway. But I think Max Holloway will be circling around the cage. He'll be using his pressure, using his volume, pumping the jab, using his boxing, and just destroying the Korean Zombie. I think the first round will be competitive. But I think after that first round, I think Max Holloway's really going to start to pull out ahead. And what my official prediction is going to be, 4th round TKO, but not necessarily. It's going to be 4th round TKO doctor stoppage. I think the Korean Zombie will make it through the 4th round, and I think either the corner or the doctor is going to wave it off after the 4th round. We don't need to see a 5th round. He's already gotten beaten and battered enough. He's bleeding from all over his face. He's busted up. He's swelling everywhere. And I think the doctor is going to step in and stop it in between the 4th and 5th round. Have to go Max Holloway, 4th round TKO via doctor stoppage. I just think this is a fight where Max Holloway easily wins. I don't see a path to victory for the Korean Zombie. But let me know what you guys think about my predictions down in the comments. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. And thank you so much for watching.